"I was just eating till I'm dead," said Casey King, whose weight loss journey was featured in Season 2 of the reality television series Family by the Ton, also known as My 3,000 Pound Family, on TLC UK. His amazing transformation was all over social media, as people were amazed at how far he had come, including after undergoing bariatric surgery. Stephen King is his real name, but he said that for some reason, he almost always has gone by the name Casey. When the series started, he weighed 707 pounds, over 320 kilograms, and had been categorized as having morbid obesity or severe obesity, which means his body mass index, or BMI, was well over 40. As such, he lived with his father in Jackson, Georgia, and had come to depend on him for many things. Casey said, "I never would have thought that at age 34, I would be living with my father and have no job, no real money, still playing video games all day, and eating." Casey shared that he'd always been big since the day he was born, when he weighed 12 pounds 11 ounces, close to 6 kilograms. He was chubby in middle school. By 9th grade, he was around 250 pounds, or over 110 kilograms. After high school, he was close to 350 pounds, 160 kilograms, and was pushing 400 pounds, or almost 180 kilograms, by the time he was in his early 20s. He worked as a server at a couple of restaurants, but he quit when his weight topped 500 pounds, over 220 kilograms, as it was getting too difficult for him to do his job. His mother then kicked him out, saying that he had to have a job to live in her house, so he ended up staying at his father's place. A typical day for Casey was that he would normally wake up around 12 noon, and foremost on his mind was figuring out what to eat. He would either get up and get food in the kitchen, or wait for his father to give it to him. But whatever the case may be, he would be eating in bed. He preferred staying in his room without clothes on, as he found them restricting, and it was usually hot in Georgia. Playing video games was his form of escape from the judgmental eyes of the world, whereas he was accepted in virtual reality and the game world, and could be the Casey he wanted to be. With his size, bathing became a problem. There was one time when he couldn't get up from a sit-down bathtub, so he stayed there for 9 hours. Since he didn't want it to happen again, his father bought a huge round trough and placed it outside the house where he could bathe. His father would prepare the water and wait on him, saying that he felt obligated to do that. Casey needed assistance in cleaning himself, as there were places on his body that were difficult to reach. TLC's Family by the Ton, a spin-off series from My 600-Pound Life, delved into the lives of people suffering from morbid obesity and their journey to getting the help they needed in the form of bariatric surgery, a procedure involving making changes in the digestive system that would induce weight loss by limiting the amount of food a person can take, minimizing the ability of the body to absorb nutrients, or both. Featured in the show was Dr. Charles Proctor Jr., a renowned bariatric surgeon who became one of the first to adopt the fully robotic approach to duodenal switch, Rooksen, Y gastric bypass, and sleeve gastrectomy procedures. The first season of the series featured Drew, Naomi, and Chitoka, who were cousins having a combined weight of 2,000 pounds, over 900 kilograms. Season 2 premiered in 2018, and it starred Casey and his cousins Amanda, Amy, and Ed, as they decided to go on their weight loss journey together. At 37, Amanda weighed 644 pounds, 285 kilograms, and knew that if she didn't do something about it, she would be one step from the grave. In 2016, she was diagnosed with endometrial cancer and felt that this was her punishment for abusing her body. She wasn't afraid to die, but she didn't want her mother to have to bury her. To undergo surgery to treat her cancer, she first had to lose half of her body weight, so she sought the help of Dr. Proctor. She opened up about her past, saying she was around 11 or 12 when she started binging on food at night. Her father wouldn't let her eat dinner at the table because she was so disgusting. She had to wait until he was asleep before eating whatever she could find in their house. He then locked their refrigerator. She was unable to close this chapter of her life, as he'd already passed away. At 32, Amy was 388 pounds, over 170 kilograms. She was a normal size when she was young, but by the time she was 12, she was being bullied for being fat. She described herself as a mindless eater, as she turned to food whenever she was upset or unhappy. Being obese posed a difficulty in keeping up with the demands of her job as an elementary school teacher. By the end of her workday, she was exhausted. She wanted to marry and have a family, but dating had been a challenge, as people thought her face pretty, but once they saw her body, things wouldn't progress any further. Looking in the mirror, she believed that no one could love her. Casey and Amanda were much heavier than Amy, but she was worried that if she didn't change her eating habits, including continuing eating those chocolates, she would end up as big as them. At 51, Ed weighed 440 pounds, 190 kilograms. He worked as a firefighter for 29 years, and eating fast food had been his way of coping with having a stressful job, which he regretted as it was how he ended up being so overweight. One time, as he was carrying a section of hose up a flight of stairs, he felt like he was having a heart attack and was rushed to the emergency room. He thought it best to retire, as someone could get hurt because of him and the limitations brought on by his size. He felt depressed, so found himself wanting to eat even more. Ed realized that his big size wasn't just hurting him, but also his kids, as he couldn't be the father he wanted to be for them. Also, with his poor eating habits, his youngest was starting to be like him. His wife was worried about his health, saying that she didn't want to raise their children alone. She had bariatric surgery in 2003, but at that time, he didn't think that he needed it. Food had been a part of Casey's life more than he'd wanted it to be. He knew it was killing him, but said it was like a drug which he couldn't resist. There were times when he ate to the point of feeling sick afterwards. If I could just eat, and not gain weight, it would be fantastic. Do I want to be fat forever? No. I wish I wasn't in the situation I am in, he said. Casey went to Beltline Bariatric and Surgical Group for a consultation with Dr. Proctor. His weight was 710 pounds, 315 kilograms, and Dr. Proctor warned him that he was at a critical stage, as he would soon become immobile. He was going to die young unless he did something to change and alter his course. The doctor said that they would work together to save Casey. Dr. Proctor would perform sleeve gastrectomy, a surgical procedure in which a large portion of the stomach would be removed so it would hold less food, as a result of which the patient couldn't eat as much. However, before he could do that, he had to be convinced that Casey was mentally ready for it. He should lose 60 pounds in 3 months. Patients who were in the 600 to 700 pound range, about 270 to 320 kilograms, needed all the help in the world, as it was very difficult to change their mindset from being cared for to becoming independent. Believing that Casey's father was contributing to his son's maintaining the weight, even if he was doing it out of love, Dr. Proctor recommended to father and son that they meet with a bariatric psychologist, Dr. Ritz, who asked Casey if food was his main coping strategy whenever he was upset. Casey said that it was nothing like that, as he just liked food and would eat too much if given the chance, but admitting that he wouldn't have eaten so much if it wasn't brought to him. There were times when he thought his father was an enabler, as he could easily coax his father into giving him whatever he wanted. His dad didn't want to give it to him at times, but they got along better whenever he did. Casey used to thrive in social situations, as he enjoyed meeting and talking to people. But as he grew larger, he became conscious of how people saw him. One time he went to the gym to lose weight, and there was a guy who took his photo to ridicule him. It was not a surprise that people would be staring at him or talking about him given his size, but he didn't want that kind of attention. This convinced him to stay in his room, so that in his own world he could forget that he was overweight. People didn't understand that he didn't choose to be fat or not to have a job, as it wasn't that simple. As he said, if I could just live a day without being overweight, it would mean more to me than anything in the world. Dr. Ritz said that it was incredible how obesity can be so isolating. At his follow-up visit to the clinic, Casey weighed 710 pounds, about 315 kilograms. Dr. Proctor was hoping he would be down 25 pounds by this time, so was disappointed and said they would be going hardcore on this. He recommended that Casey have a consultation with Robbie, a dietitian, to help him with more rapid weight loss. At the dietitian's clinic, Casey talked about the difference between his mom and dad when it comes to how they feed him. He said that when he asked for something sweet, his mom would give him 1 piece of Hershey's Kisses, but his dad would give him 1 pound of M&Ms. He knew he shouldn't ask for such, but when he gave in to his cravings, he needed someone who would tell him no. Casey said that he didn't become this big on his own, as he's not the one who's buying the food. His father acknowledged that he had a part in Casey gaining more weight. The dietitian said that Casey wasn't taking a lot of responsibility and blamed his parents for how he'd gotten where he is now. She reminded him that it all boiled down to the choices that he made. When Casey had a moment of weakness and ate something unhealthy, his cousin Amy confronted him about it. He felt that Amy was attacking him, and so was on the defensive. He later explained that she might have come at him the wrong way, but her heart was in the right place. Casey then talked about it with her, and they apologized to one another for how things went that day. Both parents were supportive of Casey and did all they could to help him lose the required weight. As Amanda, Amy, and Ed had the procedure done first, they all helped to calm his nerves. When out of fear, he was having second thoughts about having the operation. On his last visit with Dr. Proctor, he'd lost 80 pounds and was approved for the surgery. Dr. Proctor performed a vertical sleeve gastrectomy on Casey, saying that whenever they were operating on a patient of Casey's size, they needed to take a lot of precautions because the things that could go wrong are much harder to deal with. Fortunately, the surgery went well. The lives of Casey and his cousins improved significantly after all had the operation. A get-together was organized to show their family and friends their transformation. It was 6 months after Amanda's surgery, and she weighed 515 pounds, about 230 kilograms, having lost 125 pounds, or 56 kilograms. Her cancer had stopped growing, but she had to lose more weight to undergo a hysterectomy. After another 5 months, Amy weighed 250 pounds, about 110 kilograms, having lost another 138 pounds, or 60 kilograms, and was able to join her father in a Spartan relay. After 4 months, Ed weighed 315 pounds, or 140 kilograms, having lost 120 pounds, or 55 kilograms, and could play with his daughters. After 3 months, Casey weighed 525 pounds, having lost 185 pounds, 233 and 83 kilograms respectively. Fans were so happy to see a different side of Casey, as he shared on his social media accounts what he had been doing after the show. His profile on Instagram indicated that he had been 848 pounds at his heaviest. He turned 37 in November 2021, and as he weighed 255 pounds, he said, "I'm the healthiest I've been since high school. I'm the happiest I've been since forever, and I don't know if I've ever felt more or loved myself more." He was 5 pounds away from his weight goal of 250 pounds, or about 110 kilograms. Casey continued to work to stay fit and healthy. Instead of staying indoors and playing video games, he was out hiking and going on adventures with friends. His dad had once wished to be out on a lake on a boat with his son, and it finally happened. Casey had been experiencing a lot of firsts, as he had been so restricted by his size for the most part of his life. His April 2020 Instagram post revealed that for the first time in what seemed like a decade, Casey had a real job at Home Depot. His first 12-hour shift was at their warehouse in Locust Grove, Georgia. Casey said that this was another step in regaining control of his life and becoming a functioning member of society. In September, he received the much-coveted Homer Award, which was given to the employee in recognition of their excellent service and compliance with core values. He wanted people to know how much he changed from the person he was in the show. One of the things that Casey was most often asked about was his skin, as it was known by most people that an obese person might lose the extra weight and fat, but the excess skin would remain. He posted his photo showing it all, and before he knew it, Ethan Klein, the host of the YouTube channel called H3 Podcast, started a GoFundMe page in January 2022 to pay for Casey's skin removal surgery. The goal was to raise $15,000, but it's now over $18,000. Casey was beyond grateful for the outpouring of support from strangers. Casey is now living a life that he only dreamt about and said, "I don't know for sure how many years I added to my life, but I know I'm going to appreciate every single day of them." He said that one cannot change the past, but he could do something to change his course for the future. He believed that he had done that, and he was better and stronger for it. Thank you for spending some time with us. Make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss another video. We also handpicked these videos which we recommend you watch next. You can talk to us on all social medias or ask a question in the comments below. Thank you for being with us, and we'll see you back tomorrow.